We are back and ready to jump into game number 4. Just to give a brief recap, keeping it nice and simple, All Dragon has the ability to go to 20 or more points in this game, which means after this game, if he does reach 20 or more points, he will put the lobby in check, which means if he wins a lobby after that, he will win the whole tournament. All of the other players here still need to win or do well in at least 2 more games to be able to get to that 20-point marker. So really, Sottle, as we get into this one, although we will, of course, be covering all of the players, the focus has to be on All Dragon for this one.
It does, yeah. The focus has largely been on All Dragon for a good chunk of the tournament, and for good reason. I think he's been a standout competitor. But yes, certainly I think the call to arms will go out that the focus will be on All Dragon, not just for us, not just for the observer, not just for the broadcast, but for the other players as well, because they don't have to wait until he puts the lobby in check to start targeting him. They can do it now if they really want to. Oh!
Yep, that's what I was... If you viewers at home saw me look to the side weirdly as Sottle's talking to us and laugh, it's because I saw All Dragon's hero choices before we saw it on screen here. So yes, the options of Ashara or Omu when you want to be able to try and get a decent finish is huge.
I absolutely love that decision as well. I don't think that was a difficult decision, but I do think it was a correct one. 2 heroes with game-winning potential, right? But he doesn't need a game win. He needs a top 4. So Ashara, yes, can win lobbies, but can also top 8 quite regularly, especially with Dragons out, as you see up on the top there as well. Dragons being the best way to get that quest online for Queen Ashara. Omu does not top 8 that often. You know, the ability to level and actually buy vanilla strong minions earlier than most opponents actually gives you decent tempo in the mid game as well, if that's what you want. So in terms of picking a hero that can win the lobby, can just be strong and just not have a worry in the world if you triple into the 6, but also having a hero with a plan B, that makes Omu much better than Ashara in that position in my mind. Good choice from All Dragon.
And also we got beasts! No Shudder Walk, but we got beasts.
Yes,
it's here. At least once today we shall get this. Yanase has gone for the Daryl, which is we've seen to be a decent pick at getting a okay finish, but Yanase currently sitting at the bottom of the leaderboard, at least for me, needs much more than an okay finish, but he also needs good points over multiple games anyway, so I guess I didn't catch his overall choices, but him just saying, okay, I'm going to pick Daryl, and even if I get a 4th or a 5th, that's still stacking points.
Hook Tusk is my single favorite hero in the history of Battlegrounds, by the way. It's the one that I'm going to have the most opinions on. But I was very interested just in, again, very micro decision making at the start of the game, that Yuense rolled with 1 gold remaining there, having a hero power available and a coin in hand. Because without that roll, if this situation happened where you hero power a minion and you hero power it back into Shell Collector, you then have 1 gold remaining because you haven't rolled, and you have 2 coins in your hand. So you could have theoretically bought a whole other minion on that turn if you hadn't have taken that roll, if exactly this outcome happened, which I just thought was something worth thinking about. Wait, go back! What's happening? Okay, interesting. Hero power does nothing really here. Helpfully, the board has been covered up, but if you didn't see what I was reacting to there, he rolled the quadruple in shop with the 2 shell collectors coming out there. So I'm imagining this will be a big old freeze and level from here. Yes, it will be. Okay, Lorinda, you may move on. Go ahead.
You know what? Dealer's choice. Wait, where are you gonna go with the next the next hero? Yeah. We are going to go back to Alucard on the cookie. Alucard currently sitting at 2nd place with 12.5 points. So honestly, 2 just okay finishes in a row can be his almost guaranteed path to 20 points here.
Sao King 3-on-3, by the way, as you can see over on the left-hand side there. 3-on-3 meaning generally it will involve buying a token minion on turn 1 and then leveling on turn 2 and then selling half of your token minion on turn 3 to then level to Tavern 3 straight away. Another factor that we haven't really seen that much of, because what are the token minions? Well, they're elementals, they're pirates, technically, for the purposes we're talking about, and they're beasts, the things that we haven't been seeing for the entire tournament. And it is, in fact, beast this time. Looking over at Sal King's board, there is a tabby cat hidden behind this Gale Wing Discover. So this is a great curve option, I think, for Gale Wing to go with the Discover into 3-on-3, because that way you get to get 3 theoretically Tavern 3 minions if Bob is kind to you with the roll. However, Bob has not been kind with the roll here. It's going to have to be Acolyte Bird Person going with the option here for Sal King. Only that solitary beast in play, but it is going to be a good amount of juice for that tabby cat with the Avenge of the Bird Person going off.
Yeah, also just a final quick note on Sal King. He did go for another minion Discover from the Gale Wing choice, right? So he isn't going to be going for that Tavern tier reduction or anything, at least for the near future. Jumping over to Dappy though as well, very aggressive, very wide board. Again, Maev trying to protect health whilst setting up triple, setting up those timings for the leveling up. And we see he's gonna forgo the hero power this turn.
Whoa, more so than that, it was Elemental over a Micro Mummy pair, which is kind of exactly the opposite of what I was advocating for in the previous game, right? And will continue to advocate for now. He's taken an economy minion instead of a pair, which pairs turn into triples, which is Maev's primary business, but also Micro Mummy is just more tempo than Elemental over the course of the game, right? With that extra 1 attack going through. So decision that I'm not necessarily on board with in that spot.
And look at what Max has been offered here. The Siren, whilst already sort of naturally progressed into a decent Naga opening, honestly, right? The Siren's there, the Snail's there for the tempo, the Lava's there to start building up as well. There's Spellcrafter every single turn as well with the Mini Myrmidon. Like, this is looking pretty good, at least as a starter. It's like a starter set to really get going, and will probably allow Max, I imagine, to just keep pressing the level button at this point.
You would think so, yeah. You don't necessarily even have to go 2-6 as Toki, though, because of that ability to just see a 6-drop every turn anyway. I think if you can get there, sure, because, 1 6-drop option per turn isn't necessarily going to keep up with what other people can do. And generally in this meta, even though, Galakron, Toki, those kind of characters can get 6s without being on 6, you don't discover 6s from Orgazoa without being on 6. So your long-term value of what you can get out of your discovers over the course of the game are heavily influenced by that ability to level to 6. So you do generally still want to be doing it.
Yeah, and basically the timing will just be based on how comfortable he feels, right? Like, that's all it really is. It looks like Yonsei is going to get 1 kill on there to just protect himself a little bit, but he's going to be starting to stack in that leveling as well, because 6-0, did he just tier to 3? Or was 6-0 already on 3 there? Not quite sure. I thought he was on 2 for a second.
I believe he was on 3 already, yeah. Yanase still absolutely Tavern 1 Dereling right now. I'm wondering if we are looking at a bunch of tricksters hanging around on his board right now. Can't find him on the
He has a huge trickster, yeah.
He has 1 huge trickster, 1 huge putt bot. Yeah, all right, makes sense. Ooh, hello. We've found a Nomi game, apparently.
Relatively early, with a good board for it as well, with those Elemental cycles. Too bad at all. Oh, Yanse's now got 2 imps. Okay.
Oh, it's such a good Daryl lobby, actually, now that I look at it. Tavern 1 Daryl, like, this is so good with Sellies and Cats in, and with the both payoff minions. Like, this is the dream, right? Because essentially what Daryl wants in this position is economy units, where you have both of the great economy units in the Elemental and the Tabby Cat. This time, for this purposes, this is kind of the Swabby paradox. Swabby is not an economy unit in this regard, because you're not interested in leveling, and it doesn't actually give you extra Daryl tempo in this position. But both beasts and elementals being in are great for the actual economy of doing Daryl things, but then both of the payoff minions as well, with demons for Trickster and Mex for Puppbot are both in on Tavern 1 as well. So for the second time, I think Yanase has identified a Daryl window and then leapt through that window, right? This is an extremely good Tavern 1 Daryl, I would say, and a good option for Yanase to have gone for here.
Yeah, and even though, you know, we talked about certain players bullying other players out of the game early, the nature of sticking on Tavern 1 means that a lot of your damage, you know, it's not like you're going to be hitting for 10 plus or anything like that, but you are softening everyone up so that when they do lose to a different player, potentially, they will then either take the hit to die or bring them below that 15, that sort of 15 barrier that we're all looking at. And meanwhile, though...
There's Dragon chunking some damage into Dappy. And this looks like it is going to be the Maiev turn. That triple is available.
Is Dappy just looking for more for more token shooters as well again? It just looks like it because of the imp and the Meg.
Yeah, this time it looks like Dappy is setting himself up for a win condition, and he does hit it as well. Gets that Thissa. Currently does have the full 4 Naga package on board as well. And that means that this is going to offer the full buff. I was just about to say, it feels like it might be time for an Ore Dragon update. Beep, 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 beep. This is your Ore Dragon update. Yep, we are feeling good if we are Ore Dragon over right now. Leveling up as Omu. Good amount of tempo as well, defending with the Savannah High Main and the Meccano tank. This is kind of exactly the kind of board I was expecting to see, right? Ore Dragon doesn't necessarily have to panic about setting up greedy triples. He can just level and take good minions as they're offered to him as Omu. And if it ends up not working out and he ends up getting 4th because of it, job done.
It's the perfect display of how the final day of Lobby Legends evolves as the games are played out and the strategies do change. And yeah, I think this is absolutely perfect. He doesn't need to do anything too crazy. He needs to just push people out of the game. And when you've got the likes of, you know, a Siren, fine, but like the Savannah High Main, specifically the tank as well on the end, like those are minions that if they live, they hit hard, right? Like they had a significant amount of damage already on Tavern Tier 5 as well, so it's going to be +5 from the hero. It's huge.
Last comment on this as well. The power of Siren. Like, see a Siren, buy a Siren, right? Zero synergy on this entire board. But Ore Dragon's just like, you know what? First and foremost, it's a 5-4. Secondly, it's one of the best cards in the game for late game win conditions. So I'm going to pick it up now, even though I have zero payoff for it on board currently.
I do feel like Siren is the school teacher of Battlegrounds, isn't it? You just look at it, see what it does, and you're like, 1, why is that so cheap, as in Tavern Tier for now? 2, why are the stats so good as well? Like, why does this thing do everything? It's insane.
Small correction, Raven. What you do is you look at it, you read it, and based on your understanding of Hearthstone interactions, you go, oh, that doesn't actually seem that good based on the way the card is worded. Then you find out it's worded incorrectly, and then you realize that it's absolutely broken.
Yep, checks out.
Yeah. If people are unclear what I'm talking about, there's a precedent kind of set in Constructed where it matters who casts a spell, like whether Yogg casts the spell, you cast the spell, Bolner casts the spell. That matters for various interactions. And the way the cards are worded, the Athissa plus Siren interaction should not work the way that it does based on the wording. It is confirmed to be intended to work like that, though. It's not a bug. It's just, for me, the wording is wrong.
If anyone wants any further thoughts on that, when things like this happen, Sol gets upset and does not let them go. And will bring them up at every possible opportunity.
Oh, perfect, by the way. Also, apologies for yesterday, though. I will hold my hands up. Literally in the middle of the night, I realized I was being dumb about the Reef Explorer interaction, because rules as written, Amalgam can only register as one minion type for each particular instance of anything happening, right? Otherwise, a Jug would buff an Amalgam 3 times if they were the only 2 minions in play, which isn't what happens. So when Reef Explorer is played and Amalgam's on board, it just registers that Amalgam as any given minion type that's not on your board at that point, and then offers them the remaining pool. So I was wrong on that one. I take that one back.
I'm glad you said it. I did know this. I just didn't want to embarrass you in front of everyone.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Yeah.
Still though, looks like Yonsei is going up against Max on that Toki, and Max is popping off as well. This is going to be a draw, but again, the big difference here is, although they drew the fight, the power level isn't necessarily equal, because Yonsei is doing great with the elementals, with the early Nomi. Like, that's not even a question. But I truly believe, and I think most people do, nothing outscales the full end game Naga board, right? Like, it's the maximum scaling you can have in the game. So at some point, it will just win.
I've literally had a lobby where I queued into a Reno on their triple into 5 golden Anomi turn and just thought to myself, well, that guy's dead. And then they ended up like getting 4th, I think, overall. And just, yeah, they like with golden Nomi on curve as Reno, they got 4th. Like it just does not scale up against Naga. That's kind of just the goal of what you're doing at that point.
It also doesn't help that especially elementals have very predictable board states. So you know what the board's going to look like, so it's always easy to actually maneuver your board around that. We do see the Ogazoa be offered here to Alucard, but again, Alucard's got a bit of a mixed bag. Currently, like rocking a mech comp, I guess, is the the way is mechs. Nothing too buff too much apart from a very high damage put bot.
Ooh, just noticed from the corner of my eye. Can we just take a quick look at Max? Because I feel like we have not dipped into this recently, and it is absolutely popping off. Yeah, that is Max. Wait, what's happened here? That's very strange.
Yeah, I was going to say, hang on a minute. Like,
that is Max on the Toki, and I'm not even sure why the... Normally, the camera mix-up happens when you try and switch rapidly, but I'm not sure if that was the case here. But yes, this is Max that we are looking at. That looks like the board to beat right now, right? The Toki has hit very, very hard in this one.
Exactly, and this is what I was saying, right? Previous to this, he drew a fight against Yonsei, but it doesn't matter because he will just win eventually, right? Because this scaling gets truly, truly ridiculous. He gets the Divine Shield hit on the buffed high main as well there, so not too bad so far. And there's just enough stats, right? Like, Golden Bird Person is great. I am a big fan, but it's just not going to be enough. There's Dappy.
Moving over
his second account.
Actual Dappy this time, yes. Apologies for the little camera mix-up, but that means Maev is going to take down Cookie again. Cookie not having a good time today, it seems, honestly, based on these results. We've seen Cookie top 8ing here, and we've seen Cookie and Finley Cookie both bottom 4ing in the same lobby, I believe, previously. So Cookie not currently having a great time of it.
No, and a big set. A big upset, I imagine, for Alucard there as well. He's going to gain 0 points, and he was going into this lobby in 2nd place on 12.5. So now he needs at minimum another 2 games, right, to get there. He needed any points to put him within like that sort of reach of, okay, a lobby win at a max can get me to 20 points. Now he needs another 2 games at minimum for him there. But yeah, All Dragon.
2
good job here.
Major points to look at here. Firstly, Dragon has hit again, right? He's in a great spot. However, and it's a big however, look at the opponent. That is Max on Toki on the other side, and this is the board that's presented on the other side. Dragon loses here. I'm very confident of that. The question is, does Dragon take 15? And considering if you go across this board, that's Tavern 3, and then 6, 6, 5, 5, 5, 5. What do you kill here that actually gets enough off the board that you don't take 15? I think Dragon's dead.
Wait, isn't it 6, 6, 6, 6, 5, 5?
Is that not what I said?
You said 6, 6, 5, 5, 5.
Oh, okay, yeah, my bad. 6, 6, 6, 6, 5, 5.
For a second, then I was like, I thought I was preprepared for this tournament.
Ogazoa was just a 5-drop. You remember GD? They just decided to make that mistake again. Yeah.
I was like, oh no. Yeah, it is not looking good. The sheer volume of Divine Shields as well on this board. Not only is he winning on stats, Divine Shields as well, and this is monstrous. Can he even kill the glow scale? I mean, it doesn't matter, but he got one.
And this is where Max opens the lobby chat, types "you're welcome" to everyone, looks smug. We will continue. No one else can put this lobby in check this time around, so that means we are going to go one more game without anyone having the threat of winning the tournament right now. That is such a huge deal. Dragon going down in bottom 4, meaning he will have to wait at least one more game to put the lobby in check.
Yeah, and Yanase here, kind of deceptively doing well, I think, right? Like, yes. He is doing very well. He will almost certainly, well, actually, I'll say certainly.
Honestly, you could phrase that the other way. I think deceptively doing badly might be a better way of putting it, because he's in first place with 40 health, but he's not winning. I can tell you that right now.
Well, I think there's a decent chance that he can steal, you know, at least a third here.
Yeah, third, fourth, I think, is where he will end up this lobby for sure. If he can, he has enough health to start losing to the Naga players now, if needs be, and probably still outlast enough people, right, to end up in that third place. So.
I mean, you've got to imagine, you know, he needs to survive 2 fights, right, to outlast at least another player. Sixo is going to be getting away with it this time, though, going up against the Ghost, so he's likely to survive to fight another day.
King scrapping. Love to see it as well. This game has not come together at all. He had a very nice, clean 3-on-3 curve with the Gale Wing and the Alley Cat on 1, but then that Tavern 3 shop was just so miserable. Like, Bird Buddy is great tempo. Sorry, what's a Bird Buddy? Bird Person is such great tempo, usually in most normal, healthy situations. In this, it's just, you know, not good enough to compete with what everyone else is chucking out. So you do kind of have to resign to yourself to this kind of give-up board that we're seeing here from King. But I think he's doing exactly the right thing and doing it very well.
Yeah, and I think that Divine Shield was a very, you know, it was a reasonably difficult choice. Obviously, very good he had it on now because the overkill.
Ooh, that's not it.
Okay, Bear still alive.
Okay. Needs to not go right from King's perspective. Does go immediately right. Can still clear up most of this. Will survive.
Survives.
Yep, very, very important. Does stay alive, lives to fight another day, scraps an extra point potentially out of this. And yeah, you pointed out the really big decision there, which was positioning plus Divine Shield choice, right? Understanding that leading with the Cleave Elemental, the Wildfire Elemental, was a big possibility. So taunted Leroy far right next to a Divine Shield. That was a super clutch decision for King to make in that spot.
And just quickly, the last point on King, he's against Ghost now, which I think his comp is very capable of taking out the, you know, any of the other 3 players, whichever one he's fighting. So that's a really good spot for him to maybe outlast and move up to at least a 4th as well. And King is in great need of any potential points he can get to try and catch up. Now, is Yonsei going to be the next victim of Max? Looks like it. Again, yeah, these stats look great if we could rewind time a little bit, right? It looks like a solid board, but when you know you're against someone who's been sat on Naga for a long time, it just won't add up.
Yeah, Max just channeling Taz right now. It's very much a matter of beat me if you can, survive if I let you for every one of Max's opponents right now. You absolutely have to dodge that opponent if you're going to make your way up this rankings, because we have very much reached the stage where I think Max is just going to be dealing 30-odd damage to every single opponent in every single fight from this point onward.
I like this though, like, yeah, I'm just going to go for it. Though we did see as well, just looking at the leaderboard, that Yanase did take some damage as the Daryl. Small stats.
I love this. Was just offered a Nomi, is like, nah, Light Fang for an extra +2/+2 this turn. Oh, that's great. Good luck.
Oh, it's countering the Mantid with the Acolytes. Perfect. Look at this positioning.
Insane. Yeah, that's definitely going to matter. Oh. And it's gone.
And not even close. That does mean Yonsei is going to get knocked out here, but let's see if anyone joins him, because Sixo is potentially under threat as well. It is King who's against the Ghost. So going up against the Daryl from Yanase.
And only pushing a very small amount of damage as well, which means Daryl does absolutely live on to fight another day, only down to 16 at this point. There is that top 4 that I was talking about. Now does Daryl fight the Toki? No, Zixo fights the Toki, which means it looks like Daryl is going to get out of this one very possibly with that 3rd place, maybe even a 2nd.
Yeah, it's really impressive how he's pieced this together, honestly, and just managed to hold enough health, as you said, even losing a few fights, which you expect to do at this point in the game with tier 1 minions on the board, basically, is going to be enough.
Taunt Spellcraft for your Golden Trickster is got to be at least appealing on this turn, right? Does go past it, wow, okay.
Yeah, I mean, so here's my question. Maybe it's answered now. What is he looking for that would be better than that? Is Parrot maybe the answer?
Parrot is definitely an answer, yes. The triple putt bot is obviously fantastic as well. Like, I think the plain answer to that is just really an additional dance target, right? Because he looks at his opponent here and says, okay, Salking on Galewing is the weak player in this lobby, so I don't necessarily need to panic right now to win this fight. I think I can win this fight anyway, so I'm going to turn down that Taunt Spellcraft to just look for more dance targets going forward. When we start talking about, well, you know, Puttbot, Parrot, more Tricksters, whatever, these are those potential dance targets that he can look for, but I think in general the answer was just, I think I'm going to win this fight anyway, so I'm going to be greedier and just look for more, more dance targets going forward.
Yeah, like, instead of fighting to survive, you progress your game plan, right? Like, it does make sense if you feel you are favored. And suddenly, that is the biggest. That is not a mini Myrmidon anymore, is it? The name needs to change once it is.
Good old Maxi Myrmidon.
Maximus Myrmidon.
They call me Maximus Myrmidus Meridius.
Commander of the Legion of Baby Murlocs.
And there's the payout. Is this even 8, though? It is currently 8. It is currently exactly 8 and will be 8 because, yeah, the Puttbot cannot even die from this position. Congratulations, Daryl. You killed a person. Well done.
Yeah,
well
I did it.
done. Yeah.
It does mean Yanase is going to realistically lock in a 2nd place. And honestly, look, Yanase is like, this is basically a win.
It really is, yeah. Oh, he got to kill Bob as well. Hey, the first Bob kill of the tournament. Well done, Yanase. That's the checkbox. No idea what causes that, but occasionally your opponent just blows up twice and then Bob blows up in the tavern. It's great. I really
It's the old double tap.
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly, if I was Yanase here, I'd just pick whatever the funniest play is, because I would not feel confident in beating Max in any single way.
Yeah, I mean, what it is triple into Baron and Prey, right? That's the win condition from here, I think. Yeah. Like, that, it's not going to be good enough, I don't think, but I think that is the win condition for sure. I would have loved to have seen it to get the question answered, but looking over to my left-hand side at my tracker, I can answer the question for you. No, it wouldn't have worked, even if he had hit the Baron there. Look at the state of it. The absolute state of this board.
That's what's so crazy about how strong Athissa and the Siren combo is that even this 4/7 serves a grand purpose, right? It casts a spell, throws a million buffs out everywhere, and it's a bumper, which in this meta, the opening bumper or opening attacks are super important, right? They make such a big impact on the outcome of most fights, especially when, you know, the Divine Shield taunts are so, you know, reliable in this meta, that even this, like, look, why has it got this many stats? He only put it on the board this turn.
Yep. I mean, look at the Shoal Commander, right? When he stopped doing things, that Shoal Commander was 100-100. It gained 30-30 in passive stats just for existing at the end of the turn. Quite literally, you could roleplay AFK for the rest of the game and still outscale every other method of gaining stats in the game. It's so absurd.
Yeah, it's like the ultimate, like, participation trophy, isn't it? You just turn up and you're like, you know what, there you go, 30 stats. You earned this. Thanks for coming. But yeah, Max, of course, taking the victory, to be expected, as the sole Naga player left and the strongest player by far in that game. And that's a huge victory, as any victories are right now, because it boosts you so much closer towards those 20 points, right? Just taking a quick glance, we will get it up in a second, but that puts Max on, I believe, 18.5, so he has to just not completely mess up, and then he is almost certainly likely to transfer to that 20 points. But this is also, Sol, now a different turning point in the day where multiple players can put the lobby in check in this next game of Battlegrounds here. So this is when the spice really starts to get crazy, because it's not only about, oh, we look at Ordrag and see what he does. Now it's like, well, hang on, we need to look at A, B, and C player at least to see if they can make it, because different configurations of placements will dramatically change how many people have a chance to just win the tournament.
Yeah, it's a huge deal. Of course, like, Ordragon failed in the primary condition of get top 4 and then put the lobby in check, but he didn't get 8th. So he's now closer. And now that idea of, well, just don't get 8th doesn't just apply to Max, it also applies to Ordragon. Eventually, we're going to hit the point where it's impossible, because there'll be multiple players available who just have to not get 8th to put the lobby in check, and it's guaranteed to happen, right? We'll reach critical mass. We are creeping toward that point already, and you can see here, this was the big moment. Max with the absolute murder board on Toki, putting Ordragon to sleep. Omu looked like a very safe top 4 up until that point, but it was just the matchup RNG, right? Any other opponent on the board, I think, that turn, and Ordragon would have been in business. He got the absolute bully of the lobby at that point, Max on Toki, and was taken out of proceedings.
And that's not to say any other opponent and he would have won. It's any other opponent, and even if he lost the fight, he probably wouldn't die, which is, again, just by far the most important thing. We did see, again, though, a mixture of these strategies, right? We saw the approach from Daryl, from Yannisei's pickup of Daryl, and I think that was very, very good, and he got massively rewarded for this play and this choice in the opening there, even though he was in a bit of a rougher spot going into this game. We saw some of the beast strategies there from the Gale Wing player, which was Salking, again doing a good job as well, just securing some points, you know, minimum of top 4, top 3, to be able to just start stacking on these points. So the combination of Salking and Yannisei actually doing the job in this one game has really helped them both out massively, sort of pull them back towards the middle of the pack and try and give them these better chances at reaching those 20 points.
Yeah, really, really interesting late game stay. Obviously, we saw the one-sided bite at the very end with, you know, Daryl Trickster not really doing anything, but you saw how delighted Yannisei was when he won his fight. He counted to 8, he got the opponent dead, and then he waited for the outcome to see if the other player, Zixo in this case, I believe, was going to die as well. And he was absolutely delighted to finish second. I think had zero expectations of being able to go forward from there. And now you start seeing things are getting tense, because there are now 5 players in this lobby that can put the lobby in check in this next upcoming game with a win. Everyone from Dappy up could get on the hill to win the entire tournament in this next game.
And honestly, if I was Alucard, I would genuinely just say, look, can you just put me on 12 points? Because this feels rough.
This 0.5 is honestly an insult, and I demand to speak to the manager.
It's making me feel worse. I'm now, you know, 7.5 away, so it's like, oh yeah, this is kind of rough overall. But again, you can see Sol broke it down very nicely, very simple. 5 players can make it. Some players have a much easier task than others, such as Max and Ordragon, of course, but there are 3 players that simply cannot. So again, they'll be looking to I imagine they'll be looking to obviously try and do the best like they always do, but a lot of it will be, I want like 4 points, right, to make, or maybe 5 points to make it like very difficult for this next lobby to be a big problem. So we'll see their approach, maybe some hero choice, maybe some comp choices are going to really tell us all we need to know about the strategy going into the next game. But of course, we are going to go to a quick break while we make sure the players are good to go. So don't go anywhere, and we'll be back continuing Lobby Legends Noblegarden.